All right, it's another edition of the Edgington Post show here on Free Talk Live. My name is Mark Edge, and today I have with me, well, a guy who's been described as the intellectual heir to Murray Rothbard, Walter Block. Walter Block, are you there?
Oh, yes, and that's very high praise. Thanks. I don't know that I deserve it, but I love it.
I think it's. I consider it high praise too. Certainly, you're one of the the big voices of libertarianism here in the United States. And as I understand it, you have a book coming out. Is that right?
Yes. Well, the book is already out. It's been out a couple of weeks.
Okay.
It's called "Yes to Ron Paul and Liberty," and it's available on Amazon and Kindle.
Very good. So now you can go to, I guess you could go to shop.freetalklive.com and get the book there through Amazon. Now, how would describe the book? I haven't. I've read the brief synopsis here, but describe for somebody who hasn't ever read it what's going on.
Well, it's almost 400 pages, so if a mugger is after you and you've got the book and you bop him over the head, you'll do him some serious damage.
Well, the chances are good the mugger has a government badge anyway, so...
Oh, okay. Well, you better not do that then.
Right.
It's a love letter to Ron Paul. I love the man. It's an attempt to promote his candidacy, which is not yet over, despite what you hear from the major media. It tries to explain his viewpoints, his views on foreign policy, his views on economic policy and the Fed, his views on personal liberties, to explain them, expound upon them, defend them against critics, both libertarian critics and non-libertarian critics. It's an attempt to give advice to him on various things. It's a collection of a whole bunch of essays that I've written over the years, and I am delighted with it. It's got a wonderful picture of him on the front cover, and he was nice enough to give me a very nice blurb on the back cover.
Now, 20 years ago, the libertarian movement would have been described, there are like sort of two sections. People who found out about liberty through Ayn Rand and people who found out about liberty through Heinlein. I would say that that's just entirely eclipsed now by people who found out about liberty through Ron Paul. I mean, he's just the most successful marketing thing we've got going at this point.
Oh yes, he is magnificent. Heinlein was not really a libertarian, although he had great, strong libertarian tendencies. He was a bit of a warmonger. Ayn Rand specifically and explicitly denounced libertarians and libertarianism. She was magnificent on free enterprise, but she was also a bit of a warmonger. I would say that you're right, though, that Heinlein and Ayn Rand in them our days were the main conduits. Maybe you'd stick in Hayek there a little bit, although he compromised with libertarianism to a great degree. People like Murray Rothbard and Ludwig von Mises were much stricter and much truer, but their influence was mainly on intellectuals. If you're talking about a common man in the street or the mainstream media, they were pretty much non-existent. And now Ron Paul has hit the world like I don't know what, a shooting star or something. And he goes to a university campus and he'll get 5,000, 10,000 people.
Right.
I invited him to my own campus, Loyola University, New Orleans. This was in 2009, before Ron Paul really became Ron Paul, so to speak. And we got about 2,000 people, which was stupendous for those days. So,
right.
Yes, he's on major media. Even when they're trying to ignore him, they can't fully ignore him. He goes to college campuses now and gets 10, 15,000 people. He's on TV all the time, even Fox, which denigrates him, and the others try to ignore him, but they can't. So, yes, Ron is the man. He has probably converted more people to the free enterprise philosophy than anyone else.
Yeah, I would say it's true, and he's a real phenomenon. Obviously, the ranks of those who believe in liberty have swelled because of Ron Paul. I've got to say, I guess I'm a Harry Brown convert, and I don't know how big of an area that is of amongst folks, but that he would have been the one who converted me. But how does the political system's corrupt, and as much as I hope that Ron Paul is the Republican nominee, and I'll be watching, I'll be paying attention, and that's what I want to see happen. It's quite possible that they'll make it Mitt Romney and Ron Paul will retire. What do we do after Ron Paul?
Well, much as I hate to agree with you, I do agree with you that Ron Paul is a long shot to get the Republican nomination, although I will say that if he gets the Republican nomination, I think he'll beat Obama.
Oh, I would absolutely agree. He's the only Republican that was in the lineup that had a chance of beating Obama, in my opinion.
Yes, and even now, even though he's denigrated and ignored by the media, when they have a run against Obama versus Ron Paul is even with Obama as is Mitt Romney.
Yep.
So I think if he gets it, it'll be all downhill after that. And I'm certainly an admirer of Harry Browne. But Harry Browne, when he ran for president of the Libertarian Party, he was very, very good, but he didn't do any better than Ron Paul in terms of the electorate, the usual 0.5% of the vote. But
I'm not going to say that I believe that the Libertarian Party is the path to presidency or freedom or anything like that. I just found Harry Browne to be a great communicator.
Oh, no, Harry Browne is magnificent, and I'm hoping that the LP now with Gary Johnson will make some inroads, and if Gary Johnson takes more votes than the difference between Obama and Romney, that'll put the Libertarian Party on the map, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all to the good. I personally favor Obama over Romney.
Why is that?
Because I think that Obama is less likely to nuke someone than Romney.
Nuking's bad?
I'm sorry?
Nuking's bad.
Nuking is bad, yes.
Yeah. It's like asking somebody, which poison would you like to drink? You've got strychnine here or DDT there. Take your pick.
No. Nuking is very bad. Innocent people die, which is somewhat opposed to libertarianism. You asked me, well, what happens now? And in my most recent essay, I'm calling for Ron Paul in 2016.
Oh, heavens.
Look, Ron is a young 76, and in 2016, he'll be a young 80. And he's challenged people to do bike races with him in the heat of Texas. 80 is, what 60 used to be a couple of decades ago.
It can be.
Ron will be 80 in 2016, but I'm hoping that he'll have another presidential run in 2015, and at which time he'll only be 79. He'll be a young kid, and that's what I see as the future of the Libertarian movement. I certainly don't see it in terms of Rand Paul.
You predicted my question, Walter.
I think Rand Paul is a bit of a disgrace. I mean, well, maybe I shouldn't say it because he doesn't call himself a libertarian. I would say he's a bit of a disgrace as a libertarian, but he explicitly disavows the libertarian nomenclature, and he says he's a conservative constitutionalist or a constitutional conservative or something like that. I would say he's probably the second most libertarian person in the present Congress. But if I were to give Ron a 90 out of 100 on the libertarian meter, Rand might get a 50, and everyone else, a 10 or a 9 or something. So Rand is head and shoulders above, Rudy Giuliani or Hillary or Mitt Romney, but he's not really, the apple has fallen far from the tree here. I mean, I don't mind him nominating or rather endorsing Romney as the lesser of two evils, but he was saying things like, well, we're really together on most of the important issues, which seems to me to be a downright lie.
A lot of people think that Rand is, he's the libertarian Trojan horse. That once he gets into office, and he's had a lot of good stuff. He's come down his votes have come down on the right places on a lot of issues. And the wrong places on some issues too. You can kind of look back at Ron's voting record here and there and pick it apart, out of context and say, I don't like this, I don't like that, and I get it. But I mean, what do you have to say to people who believe that Rand is the libertarian Trojan horse, and all we have to do is get him into the presidential office and he'll fix everything?
Well, I'd like to see some evidence of that. It doesn't have to be public evidence. Private evidence would do. But he's not indicated, not to me. I've met him a few times. He's certainly not indicated to anyone like, say, Lew Rockwell or Tom Woods, who I trust totally. if he were a Trojan horse, fine. I'm in favor of libertarian Trojan horses. I just see no evidence of it. Like, take the Afghan war. He did oppose the Afghan war on the ground that Congress didn't authorize it. Fine. But then he said, if it was put to a vote, he would have voted for the war. Now, come on. That's not Ron Paul type libertarianism. That's horrible. But
didn't Ron Paul vote for the Afghan war?
Didn't vote for the Afghan war. Neither did Rand. Ron Paul only voted for, what is it, letters of marque and something else?
Reprisal.
Reprisal in the Constitution. No, Ron Paul certainly voted against the Afghan war on two grounds. One, it wasn't constitutional, and two, we have no business being there. And his point about 9/11 was that this was blowback. The reason they're here is because we were there.
I was under the impression he actually voted to go into Afghanistan, but maybe I'm wrong on that.
No, letters of marque and reprisal is very different than a war.
Oh, sure.
That was for private people to do.
Yeah, of course, the United States government has prevented private companies like Blackwater, or Z, I guess as they're calling themselves now, from collecting on these things. So the intention is that foreign powers would, that can't get the kind of weapons that some of these other agencies can get, would somehow go and do it. As I understand, there was letters of marque and reprisal on some Somali warlords that then responded with putting some bounties for sheep and chickens on camels and chickens on Obama and Clinton recently. Did you see that?
No, I hadn't, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So for the folks out there that they're looking for Ron Paul to be the big winner in 2012, and I sincerely hope that's what occurs. And then you're hoping for a run in 2016. Is there any other hope that you see on the horizon? Because there are a lot of people out there that have been converted to the ideas of liberty, or at least kind of close. It takes a while for everybody to pop all the rivets on statism in their minds. How does one on the ground, an individual, affect these changes in their lives to get their family and friends on board?
Well, there are many, many ways toward liberty, and I regard politics at this stage, when we have so few real libertarians, as only a vehicle for getting a megaphone. There's the Mises Institute, free market think tanks.
Sure.
There's the what's that thing in New Hampshire where they're all gathering? The Free State Project.
that's the Free State Project. Yep.
My own school, which we have 5 out of 5 professors in the economics department, who are all free enterprise. And let me have an advertisement for my school. If you're a high school kid, or you're of a high school kid who wants to learn about Keynesianism and Marxism, but also learn why they're wrong, send them to our school. People should go get PhDs in economics and become professors. There are lots of ways toward liberty. Seasteading, I don't know that that's going to work, but who knows? It's
Looks pretty neat.
Possibility.
Looks pretty neat.
Yes.
What can one do with say, well, I don't know, I don't want to call it an Austrian economics degree because it's just an economics degree, but what could one do with an economics degree in real economics besides be a professor?
Well, there's banking, there's insurance, there's lots of executive jobs that people with a degree in economics make. There have been studies as to which undergraduate major graduates make the most money, and economics is always at the top, along with computer science and maybe engineering, medical school. But economics is one of the better majors for getting a good job at a high pay, much better than, I don't know, poetry or black studies or feminist studies or gay studies or sociology or literature or anything like that. Yeah,
there's a lot of communications degrees, people with communications degrees tending bar right now.
Yes, or asking if you want fries with that.
Hopefully they've stepped up from there a little bit, but probably not too much. So the book is, let's see, I have here the working title, which is Ron Paul Might Win. Is that right?
Ron Paul for President in 2012, subtitle, Yes to Ron Paul and Liberty.
Yes to Ron Paul and Liberty. Great. And one can get that at get that at Amazon or through the Kindle?
Yes, Amazon or Kindle.
Great. You can go to shop.freetalklive.com and pick that up. Walter Block, I really appreciate you spending some time here with me.
Well, thanks for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure.